So this post is doing the rounds right now, and it is obviously Sophie Cunningham talking about Paige Bueckers, saying, I don't really have a relationship with her off the court at all, but I just love her vibe and her energy. And it's funny where it's like, this reminds me of last year with like Sophie Cunningham. Like Sophie Cunningham would be saying positive things about Caitlin, and all of a sudden Caitlin fans are like, oh yeah, you need Sophie Cunningham on the Fever and everything. And like, it was one of those things where like that was something that a lot of people talked about, but a lot of Dallas Wings fans now are talking about bringing in Sophie Cunningham to the Dallas Wings to pair up with Paige Bueckers. And I'm going to be honest, that is an absolutely perfect, and is an absolutely perfect player for the Dallas Wings to bring in. Do I hope she stays the Fever? Yes. But like, I'm seeing a couple of things where it's like, one of the Paige fans tagged Kurt Miller, and it's funny where it's like, none of the people in the responses that don't think Sophie Cunningham should play with Paige Bueckers, there's no basketball reasons for it. There's no basketball reasons. It is genuinely like, people are there saying, like, insulting Sophie Cunningham as a person for not wanting her on the team. But I'm going to be honest. If we're talking, like, Sophie Cunningham is plug and play and fits in with everybody. And also, there's going to be a day where Paige Bueckers remembers that she's Paige Bueckers. Where she remembers that she is a top 2 guard in the league. Her and Caitlin Clark are the 2 best guards in this league. There is going to be a time when she remembers she's one of the 2 best guards in this league, and remembers that fuck Arike. I don't mean this in a that I probably shouldn't have said that, but like I don't give a fuck that Arike is on my team. I'm the number 1 option, because she deferred too much as a rookie. And that's what was so frustrating. Like, how do you average 19 points per game deferring? Like, how do you average 19 points per game when with the amount of deferring Paige did? To be fair, she was the garbage time MVP. But no one's a bigger garbage time MVP than Angel Reese. Angel Reese, when she's on 6 or more points and 8 or more rebounds with 3 minutes to go, you're guaranteed she's getting those 10 and 10. But it's like, Paige, I do think Sophie Cunningham would be the perfect, like, you want to play Paige at the 3. You do, or say at the 2. You want to play her at the 2. But like a Sophie Cunningham type player on your team, especially if you are able to keep JJQ, if you're able to keep Isaiah James, if you lose like Geiso Suter in the expansion draft and maybe Diamond Miller, and you're able to keep all these players on rookie deals, and suddenly you have the money to blow the Indiana Fever out of the water when it comes to an offer for Sophie Cunningham. And Sophie Cunningham, I don't think is going to take a hometown discount to not play in Texas. Like, I don't know much about America, but if we're I don't know if it seems like there's a better landing spot for Sophie Cunningham than Texas. But if you go out with a lineup of somebody at the 1, I don't know who it'll be, but you just find a point guard. Paige at the 2, AZ at the 3. If Louisa's still there, you have Louisa there. I'm trying to think who you'd bring in at the 4. Yeah, you can find someone at the 4 and you can find someone at the 5, and like have decent players in those positions. And then you've got you have a Sophie Cunningham off the bench and use her like Phoenix used her as the utility bench player, where it's like she's first sub on no matter what. And that's one of those things where it's like she is your 6th starter. Like, she will play starter minutes, but like say AZ's having a bad game, you put her in at the 3. You want to go small ball, she plays the 4. Especially if you have a big 5, you can play her at the 4 in small ball. If you want to move Paige to the 1, you can take off the point guard and have AZ and Sophie at the 2 and the 3. Because of her versatility, because of her shooting, because of her, she's an above average defender. She's not the quickest. She is not the quickest on her feet, but I will say that she is somebody that has the ability to go and attack, like to go and switch multiple positions and is a smart defender and a very much a disciplined defender. And look, for her own, from a basketball perspective, do I want Sophie Cunningham to stay with the Indiana Fever? Yes, of course I do. But I think we're going to be completely honest here. We're going to be completely honest here. Like, Sophie Cunningham's a good fit on whatever team. Dallas Wings might have the most money for her. And not only that we all know when it comes to Sophie Cunningham, the off the court thing matters. So if she's gonna she's not gonna leave the Fever to join the Atlanta Dream, but she might leave the Indiana Fever to go play with Paige. That's just a thing that might happen. She could very well leave the Fever to go play with Paige if the Fever can't afford to keep her. And if the Fever can't afford to keep her, giving up Sanaya Rivers for her. But to be fair, I don't know what the Fever would use. They wouldn't have KK, but I don't know what the Fever would have used that 8th pick on. Like, knowing the Indiana Fever, I wouldn't even mind it. Like, I would have been probably at the time been hoping they drafted Aisha Sivka and then just let her go. But they did get the pick that became KK Timpson in the end, though. But yeah, it is an interesting one to think about. It really is an interesting one to think about. Because I will say, I will genuinely say that this is a perfect fit, for being honest. Like, you've got a player that will pass the Page, that if they want to run a UConn type offense, she can play at the 1 through 4 in a UConn type offense. Heck, Sophie Cunningham can play the de facto point guard. Like, the only problem with Sophie Cunningham at point guard is she's not a good dribbler. But like we saw early on in the season when teams were letting her dribble past the halfway line, that she struggled at the 1. But like, even if you want to play Paige off the ball and you can play Sophie Cunningham and Paige as combo guards. And if Sophie's got a forward guard who is not going to press her, you can get Sophie to initiate the offense. You can run offense through her. Like, this makes a lot of sense for Dallas. It does. This move makes an awful lot of sense for Dallas. I hate saying it does, but it does. I wish that I could just be there and say, oh no, Sophie Cunningham, she's going to be with the Fever forever. But it's like, we have to be honest. This move makes a lot of sense for Dallas, and there is a possibility that the Fever could lose her because they just can't afford to keep her. Do I hope the Fever can afford to keep her? Absolutely. Do I think the Fever will end up keeping her? Yeah. But Sophie Cunningham's smart. Like, she's as much as people are like, she calls out what she is, like what she does, or she says what she thinks, but she's also very much calculating what she says about who, when she says what she says. And look, if we're being completely honest, I don't think, like, people are like, oh, like, Sophie's talking about Paige. I just love her vibe, her energy. It's like, it's hard to dislike Paige as a person. Like, genuinely, it is hard. Like, anyone who comes out here and says they dislike Paige as a person, I would very much be like, why? Based on all public information, for me, it's extremely difficult to dislike Paige, or the likes of Caitlin for that matter. And by the way, or Sophie Cunningham. But anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. Anyway, I'll see you guys.